What? So let's just pause a little bit at so now you're in the Air Force.
Yes.
And so you finish law school. Let me get this right. You finish law school, you take the bar, and then you go on deployment.
Yep.
And again, now you're going on deployment. You go to the Balad, and you're a chaplain.
Yes.
But you're Air Force, but you're in Balad, and Balad is like the big air base in Iraq.
Huge.
What was your mission there?
It was chaplain. I was nighttime flight line chaplain. So it was great. For me, it was one of those things where I was, put at a time that was just after the surge, just we were drawing down. There was still a lot of action. Balad became this sort of the center point for all, especially my Mascows, others coming out of the country. If you remember back in that summer, right before I got there, probably about 4 weeks before I got there, there was
Was it 08 or 07?
08. There was the bomb that blew up, and I think it was Mosul. It was north of us, and it was the like one of the mayors and all of them. They were at a town meeting, and a suicide bomber blew up. I remember seeing that on the news. When I get to Balad, many of those were there in our hospital, and so it was just like it brought it all around. Very stark reality. So at night I would go out and I had free. Basically, I ran all around the flight lines. Went over the Army side. Went over special ops. We had. I was their chaplain when we went over. Went out with the other folks in our security forces. One of the first times the Air Force was actually taking over perimeter duty since Vietnam. In that time, so it was really a challenge. And I would go out and get with them, and I'd go out in the Overwatch towers, and they loved it because they would get to practice. They would get to fire if I was coming out, because they could say, "Oh, well, the chaplain's here. We're going to fire. We're going to do live fire." So they, one of the gates had said, it gave me my call. So it was White Reaper.
White Reaper.
So you could hear them on the radio. White Reaper's here. White Reaper's here. Get up. So it was.
That's an interesting call sign for the chaplain.
Yeah, well, I thought it was pretty cool too. But it was there. But so it was something. It let me go into everything. Chaplains. I could have went after graduating special law school. I could have already started transition if I wanted to go to the JAG Corps. Had no desire to. I was where I believed I was supposed to be, and so I would get to go and go into the talk, go into the other places, and just be there and talk, go into the control tower at night when the planes were coming. And it gave me a chance to get into their life, understand what they were doing, but also talk. There was so many stories. I had several groups that came in, and I watched units come in. I remember, and it just instilled in me that this country is still blessed with some of the greatest young people in the world coming forward. I had a young lady who was late for the deployment. And I had been going around to this, and I saw her, and I didn't recognize her, and because I was at those gates every night. And so I asked her, I said, why are you, I hadn't seen you. I said, where you been? She said, well, I just got here. I said, well, why'd you just get here? I said, well, your unit's been here about a month and a half. She said, I just had a baby. And she had a 6-month-old. And so she had worked up. I said, and I asked her, and my first thought was, here I'm a dad. I got 3. I said, why don't you just defer to the next deployment? I said, she said, this is my unit. I said, I'm supposed to come with them. And so here was an interesting thing. Here in the middle of the night, I would go by and see her about 2 to 3 times a week, and she would show me pictures and videos. So I actually watched her little one, even I think caught even a first sort of step one night. And, here we are both in tears in the middle of the desert. But she was there wanting to do her job. And so it was, I enjoyed it. I did travel a little bit in the country. But it just, for me now, it also just deepens my understanding of what we do at the VA. But it was a massive base. The hospital out there is pretty amazing, and what we did. If you came under, there was the discussion of many people have this vision of the flag that is coming. It's called the Heroes Highway, was what it was. It's coming from the helicopters into the hospital, and they said if you came in under that flag, alive, you were breathing, you were alive. We had a 98% survival rate to get you to the next stop. And Jocko, there was many nights that I was there. We had units that were messed up, and I was with a lot of them. And there was one time, I still got the paper, the Stars and Stripes. So they used to, if you remember, they used to put the pictures of the deceased in there. And if there's a lot, there's some. Some weeks there wasn't many. And I remember one week, I picked up the paper. I was at the DFAC and picked up the paper and looked in and opened it up, and there were 5 faces that I knew, that I had either been by their bedside, knew where they were. One who was, I still see his face, blonde hair, blue eyed. And he was struggling. And his unit, some of his other guys in the unit got his IED attack, and all they wanted to do was know how he was. And he got back. We was alive, but my understanding is he made it back to the States, and my understanding is, at least from what we thought, was his family got to be with him. But those are the kind of things that you see, and it's infected me, and it affected how we operate. But it was also the chaplains. I mean, there's sometimes, there's always this belief, well, the chaplain is either throwing the Bible at you or come to service. The chaplain has a unique role in our military, and it's there to give you a place to go to talk to that confidential communication, to talk to get you through and be prepared. I always said that I was part of readiness, that my job was to keep you ready. I remember one guy, I got called early one morning. I'm supposed to get off at 7 o'clock that morning. I get a call at 6:45. Say, hey, chap, you need to come by the security. I said, okay, what's up? And they said, we got a guy here that we don't know what to do with. I said, okay. So I went over. And this is still just, I don't know, you've seen it before as well. We get there, and this guy, I said, okay, what's wrong? And he comes out to me. He just landed in country, made it to the phone, calling home, and his wife says she wants a divorce. Just made it in the country. I mean, I don't understand that thought. I do not understand hating, but in my mind, somebody that bad, that they're getting ready to go out and you're sending this in. This is infantry and Army. And so I talked with him for several hours because he was distraught. Mm-hmm. I think we just got to the point where we had to send him home. Yeah. I mean, it was just not there. And so that's a readiness issue. Mm-hmm. And if your mind's not ready, I always told people, and there's a lot of people I have to talk about, and sort of sometimes derisively so, the reserves and the weekend warriors and stuff. Frankly, if you look at our DOD setup now, or DOW now, Department of War setup.
Yeah, correct yourself, Mr. Secretary.
Director of War. Pete will get upset, and the boss will say something. So, but no, the Department of War they're so integrated that it's just not even look. And but I used to do, when I do the newcomers briefs, I'd say, look, you're coming in. I said, here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave on Friday night. You're going to be here for Saturday. And I said, the minute you walk out, you get out the door and you get on base, the kids are going to get sick. The dog's going to run away. The car's not going to crank, and it's all going to happen on the weekend. You're supposed to be here. I said, so just get ready. It's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And, and you walk them through that. So Balad was an interesting experience. Of course, we were, Mortaritaville was the sort of the moniker and nickname of Balad. I knew I had survived. Somebody was laughing about this the other day. You knew you had made it, to that certain point of being in the country when about the first 2 or 3 days, the siren would go off and you start looking, okay, where do I need to go? After about 3 or 4 days, whatever. Whatever. If they're going to get me, they're going to get me. I'll never forget the last night I was there. I'm packing, getting stuff together. I got my bill. I got my ticket. Hey, I'm going that C-130 tomorrow. I'm ready to go.
How long was your deployment over there?
From end of August to about the end of January time frame. So I covered all the football season, all, but that actually made a great connection point with troops. Got to go out and be with them. But I got there, and that night, the siren, goes off, and I didn't think anything about it because we're in those big, cement areas, and this one racked. I mean, it was like, wow. It was like blowing up stuff. And it was, we'll come to find out, it was about 60, 70 yards on the other side near the flight line where we're at in G. And then I'm saying, well, okay, that was pretty close.
That'll get your blood flowing.
Yeah, and then about not 3 minutes later, even closer on the other side, it's like, really? Okay, if you're going to get me now, I just backed more and just went at it. I said, I'm getting out of here.